Hello, welcome to Sermons from the Cave. I'm Dean. It's great to have you. We have a beautiful day. It's just a gorgeous day out here at the cave. This is a world ministry. We'd like these videos to go out around the world. They're simple teachings, usually 8 to 10 minute teachings long, that we just deal with the subjects of the Bible, and we just try to educate you and strengthen your faith. It's a simple walk with God. He loves you. He's given you His Son, that all who believe in the Messiah, in Jesus Christ, will be saved. God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever would believe in Him would not perish but have everlasting life. And God didn't send His Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through Him. And that's why this ministry exists. We want to encourage everybody listening to this to trust in Jesus and to learn more about your walk with Him. In the book of Numbers, the people are camping out in the desert, and they're doing their wandering thing. And I want to read from chapter 11 because this is really important. It says this. It says that, "Now when the people complained, it displeased the Lord. For the Lord heard it, and His anger was aroused. So the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed some in the outskirts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and when Moses prayed to the Lord, the fire was quenched. So he called the name of that place Terbah, which, because of the fire, the Lord had burned among them. Now the mixed multitude who were with them yielded to intense craving. So the children of Israel wept again and said, 'Who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish we ate freely in Egypt, and the cucumbers, and the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our whole being is dried up. There's nothing except this manna before our eyes.' Now the manna was like coriander seed, and its color like the color of biladam. And the people went about and gathered it, ground it on millstones, or beat it in a mortar, cooked it in pans, made cakes of it, and its taste was like the taste of pastry prepared with oil. And when the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna fell on it. Then Moses heard the people weeping throughout the families, and the anger of the Lord was greatly aroused. So Moses was displeased. Moses said to the Lord, 'Why have you afflicted your servant? And why have I not found favor in your sight? You've laid the burden of all these people on me. Did I conceive all these people? Did I beget them? You should say to me, carry them in your bosom, as a guardian carries a nursing child, to the land which you swore to their fathers. Where am I to get meat to give to all these people? For they weep over me, saying, 'Give us meat that we may eat.' I will not be able to bear all these people alone, because of their burden is too heavy for me. If you treat me like this, kill me now. Kill me here and now. And if I found favor in your sight, do not let me see my wretchedness. So here we have the people complaining. We have Moses complaining. Everybody's complaining. God's ticked. And this is usually the way it goes in our life. When God begins to move in our lives, when He begins to push us out into the desert, when He takes us away from the mountaintops and makes us walk through the valley where the water's stagnant, where it hurts, where the sun scorches us, where there's no food to eat, where we're drying up, we often complain. We often cry out and just say, "You know what, God, why did you make me? Why did you make me in the first place? Just kill me." You know, it's just, I'd be better off dead. I've done this myself. I've done this not so long ago. But you know what? We got to get past this, folks. God is an almighty creator. He's omniscient. He's omnipotent. He's all powerful. He's all powerful, all knowing, and He's everywhere at once. He's just an awesome God, and we have to get out of this pity party. We have to get on. We have to get on we have to walk with the Spirit, and He says in His Word, He says, "It's not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit that it'll get done." It's not by our might. It's not by our power, but it's by His Spirit. So all these precious Christian recording artists that have been giving these wonderful voices and these gifts to play music, and they're wonderful. We love to listen to them, but we should never idolize them, and hopefully they never think that it's by their skill or by their power or by their might that these things they've given this great responsibility. Hopefully these men and women will stay humble and know that it's the power of the Spirit that God is allowing them to do these great things, to preach to large stadiums filled with people, or to play in front of thousands and thousands of people. But we have to watch ourselves, because it's easy to start complaining when things aren't going so good. We can start complaining, grumbling and complaining. And really, we just need to keep our eyes on God. We just need to really what he wants us to do is to be content. That's why he gave him the manna, and when Moses struck the rock, water poured out. So they had fresh water and they had this free bread. They didn't even have to work at it. They didn't even have to sow seed. Remember, this was 2 million people, close to 2 million people, or over 2 million people wandering around in this section of desert, not much larger than the area of Southern California. And they wandered for 40 years. They couldn't find their way out, because it's not so much they couldn't find their way out, but they probably couldn't anyway. But God was leading them by a cloud and a pillar of fire. So they had to set up the tabernacle and camp when he decided it was time. And when he decided it was time to move, he picked up, the Levites picked up camp, and they followed the cloud. So God kept them wandering around there until that generation passed away. And because they were the grumblers and complainers, and they had seen some great miracles, and he was not going to have any. He wasn't going to allow them to go into the promised land that was filled with milk and honey, grumbling and complaining. He wanted a new generation that had faith, at least showed a little bit of faith, and they didn't show much. It was basically Joshua and Caleb, and we're going to talk about that next time. But you know what, folks? If I could just implore you just to try to live your life in a way that you don't grumble and complain. And I'm listening to this myself. We just need, when God's working on us, he disciplines the ones that he loves. A father disciplines if he loves his children, he disciplines them. So we just have to, pull up our bootstraps when we get into the valley, when we're wandering around in the desert, and stop complaining and just try to learn the lessons that God wants to teach us. It might be a certain kind of person that God continually puts into our life, puts into our congregation. We switch churches, and all of a sudden that same type of person is sitting by us in the pews. We leave that church, and by golly, that same type of person is in our workplace, or he's in our new church. God wants us to learn these lessons, and he's going to make us learn them. He's going to teach us patience one way or the other. He's going to make us learn these lessons. So that's all the time we have for. Give God the glory. Shalom, Mishpachah.